In this lesson, let's discuss about safe handling and application of pesticides, as well as understanding pesticide labels and formulations, safety precautions and protective gear, proper storage and disposal of pesticides, and tips for applying pesticides safely. Understanding pesticide labels and formulations. Pesticide labels contain detailed information on how to use the product correctly and legally. Labels also contain information on potential hazards associated with the product and instructions you should follow in the event of a poisoning or spill. What pesticide labels contain? First is the brand name. A brand name is the name the manufacturer gives to the product and is used for all advertising. We also have the formulation. Labels usually list the formulation type, such as emulsifiable concentrate or wettable powder. Next is the ingredients. Pesticide labels list the percentage of active and other ingredients by weight. Other ingredients are all components of the formulation that do not necessarily have pesticidal action but may still pose safety or environmental problems. Agricultural use requirements. This statement appears in the Directions for Use section on labels approved for use in production agriculture, commercial greenhouses and nurseries, and forests. It refers to the Worker Protection Standard, 40 CFR Part 170. You must use the pesticide according to this standard, as well as the requirements on the pesticide label. Personal protective equipment, PPE, requirements for early entry workers are also found here. Registration and establishment numbers. The U.S. EPA assigns registration numbers to each pesticide. This number is required when reporting use. An establishment number identifies the site of manufacture or repackaging and may be on the pesticide label or the pesticide container itself. Registration numbers are unique to the specific product. Contents. Labels list the net contents by weight or liquid volume contained in the package. Signal word. Pesticides are assigned a toxicity category. Category 1, danger to Category 4, no signal word required. The level of hazard determines the signal word manufacturers must use on their label. Level of toxicity categories. We have the danger poison, which means it's high toxicity, lethal if swallowed, inhaled, or absorbed through skin. We also have the danger sign alone, which means high toxicity. Warning means moderate toxicity, and caution means low toxicity. Safety precautions and protective gear. When handling and applying chemical pesticides, always wear appropriate protective gear and clothing to minimize exposure. Long-sleeved shirts and pants. Cover exposed skin to reduce direct contact with the pesticide. Chemical-resistant gloves. Use gloves made of chemical-resistant material to protect your hands. Next is protective eyewear. Wear safety goggles or a face shield to shield your eyes from potential splashes. And lastly, respiratory protection. Use a mask or respirator approved for pesticide use when handling powders or aerosols. Proper storage and disposal of pesticide containers are critical to prevent accidents and environmental contamination. Secure storage. Store pesticides in their original containers, tightly sealed, and out of reach of children and pets. Locked cabinet. Use a locked cabinet or storage area designated for pesticide storage to prevent unauthorized access. Safe and disposal. Follow local regulations for pesticide container disposal and never reuse pesticide containers for other purposes. Tips for applying pesticides safely. To ensure the safe and effective use of chemical pesticides, follow these guidelines during mixing and application. Well-ventilated area. Mix pesticides outdoors or in a well-ventilated area to minimize inhalation exposure. Clean and calibrated equipment. Use clean and properly calibrated equipment to ensure accurate application. Avoid drift. Apply pesticides on calm days to prevent drift onto non-target areas or neighboring properties.